So theory of classical conditioning is also known as theory of conditioned response, salivary conditioning, Pavlovian conditioning. So this theory was proposed by Dr. Ivan Pavlov in 1904 and won a Nobel Prize for this discovery. So conditioned response means responding naturally to an unnatural situation, or you can say unnatural stimulus. For example, when we feel hungry, the sight of food causes salivation in our mouth. This is a natural process, but it is common experience that the ringing of recess bell in school generally leads secretion of saliva in mouth of children. So this is our conditioned response. This response is reinforced when the recess bell is repeatedly followed by some meal or lunch or refreshment. So Pavlov was studying the digestive system of dog. So during his study he noticed that the dog started secreting saliva as soon as they saw even the empty plate in which the food was served to them. Now we will discuss the Pavlov's experiment on the dog. So Pavlov conducted experiment on dog to understand the process of classical conditioning in detail. So he kept the dog hungry and tied to an experimental table which was controlled with some mechanical devices. A bell was rung and immediately food was served to the dog. This activity was repeated several times under similar condition. A bell was rung at the time food was served to the dog and the saliva would secrete within the mouth of the dog. So after some days it was observed that even though only the bell was rung and no food was served to the dog, still it salivated to the sound of the bell. So there is association between the bell and the food. So one setup room was created by the Pavlov. So there is one dog, then there is one food pipe, one way glass wall is there is a recording device, there is cup for measuring saliva, there is tube from salivary glands. So this was a setup which is done by the Pavlov. Now we will discuss one by one the term used in this experiment. First is your UCS. The full form is unconditional stimulus. Food is an unconditional stimulus or natural stimulus, or it can be termed as UCS. Next is your UCR, unconditional response. Basically here we talk about the secretion of saliva for food is an unconditional response or natural response which is done by the dog. Next is CS. CS is your conditioned response. Sound of bell is conditioned stimulus or artificial stimulus which is your CS. Then CR, your conditioned response, the response to CS which is due to learning. For example, secretion of saliva to sound of bell is conditioned response. So yes, there is food plus salivation, then bell is ringing but no response, then bell plus food is served, then yes there is salivation, then only bell is ringing, no food, still there is salivation. So this is your conditioned response. So next are the principles of conditioning. So first is your principle of intensity. Principle of intensity states that the conditioned stimuli CS should be of great intensity. Then principle of consistency, it means that the process of conditioning should be repeated several times without any change. Then principle of time, conditioning depends upon the optimal time interval between the presentation of conditioned stimuli and the unconditional stimuli. Then principle of stimulus generalization. So generalization is a process in which a conditioned response to a stimulus is generalized to a similar category of stimuli. Principle of spontaneous recovery means when a dog is brought out of the experimental setup, the process of conditioning is repeated. After some time, the dog responds to conditioned stimulus by secreting saliva. Then principle of external barriers. So there can be external barriers like noise or other distraction during the process of conditioning. Then conditioning takes time. The occurrence of the external barrier block or they must be inhibit the conditional response. Now we will discuss the educational implication of classical conditioning. First is your formation of good habits. Habits like punctuality, cleanliness, obedience, respect for elder, discipline can be developed with the help of conditioning. Elimination of fear and phobia. Fear and phobia are aroused by unnatural or irrelevant stimuli. So when things and objects are associated with unpleasant experience and sort of generalization is made of phobia. So there must be no unpleasant stimuli for the students. Helpful in language learning. Conditioning can be used to teach the alphabets like A. It should be associated with apple or some picture of apple. Then useful in developing positive attitude. Positive attitude towards your teacher, parents, subject, school can be developed with the help of conditioning. Useful in adjustment. So healthy and favorable environment can be provided. Use of audio visual aids for effective learning. Useful in training of animals. So all these educational implications are very beneficial for the student.